What's up, guys? So I'm gonna start a little series here, getting some hand analysis, bankroll builder type video, right? So we're gonna put $20 in. Well, obviously I'm editing this video after I started. So today is Friday. Today's Friday, September 29th. So yesterday, September 28th, Thursday, was the first day. We put $20 onto a site called Ignition, and their smallest no limit level you could play at is 2 cent, 5 cent, $5 buy-in. So we're putting in $20. That gives us 4 buy-ins. So I mean, this is pretty much how people begin, right? So you put in the minimum buy-in, which is $20 on the site. You can't put anything less than that, and hopefully you're going to start at the smallest level and not just play 10 cent, 25 cent, which I mean you could do depending on whatever your situation's like. But if you want to gradually build your bankroll with risking just a little bit, most people are going to put in the $20, start at the small level. So we have we have 4 buy-ins, right? So $20. So we'll be playing at 2.5. I'll be recording hands on the iPad. I'm playing on the iPad. The new update allows you to record your screen, which is great. Kind of impromptu. Like literally, I was wanting to do something like this, and then the update came out, and they're like, "Hey, you can record your screen now." So pretty perfect timing, I think. So we're gonna start that $20 buy-in. We'll be playing 2 cent, 5 cent, right? Okay, and we're just gonna see how many levels up we could get, right? So starting at 2 cent, 5 cent, and we got a few rules, okay, that we wrote down for ourselves. I haven't decided yet between 30 or 25 big blinds. That's like the range that I'm going to want to do before moving to the next level, right? So next level is 5 cent, 10 cent, $10 buy-in. So if we decide on 30 bigs, I'm going to have a $300 bankroll before we move to the next level. 25 bigs, 250, right? And then we'll play at 5 cent, 10 cent until we have, let's say we decide on 30, until we have $750. Okay, I think, yeah, because the next level is 10 cent, 25 cent with a $25 buy-in. So 30 buy-ins at 25 is 750. We'll play at that level and gradually see, that's pretty much the essence of this video or this series that I'm going to be doing, starting at this level, right? So I think the biggest level that they have on the site is 1020 with a $2,000 buy-in. So if and when we get there, that means that our bankroll is at 60,000, which would be great, right? If we start with $20 and we're able to get there, hopefully we don't have to put in another $20 along the way, especially because me posting this video right now, on day 2, we've already doubled the bankroll. So you'll see, I'm gonna have hands following this with a little bit of commentary of the most relevant hands in the past 8 hours. So I played 6 hours yesterday, which was Thursday, and I played 2 hours today, Friday, and I got my hair cut kind of just here. So it's a total of 8 hours, and then I went through a bunch of footage that I had and cut it up and decided which ones I would use to show. And I'm doing the editing on the iPad. I couldn't do it on the computer for some reason, so hopefully the quality of video is going to get a little bit better, but this is just the introduction video. So some rules that we have going into this is pretty important to have rules, right? Rule number 1, always follow the rules, right? So rule number 2 is never play more than 8 hours a day. Okay, so we're going to cap 8 hours a day. We're not going to play any more than that. I'm aiming for 6 hours a day for the purpose of this series that I'm doing. So I'm going to be aiming for 6 hours. Maybe some days I'll play 4, maybe some days I won't, but never more than 8, right? Because like after 8, decision making kind of dwindles a little bit, and it's just my rule. Never more than 8. Okay. If we burn 3 buy-ins in a day, then we're done for the rest of the day. Maybe depending on how late in the day we do it, maybe even take 2 days off. So 3 buy-ins. If you go through 3 buy-ins, take a break. Just leave. I mean, there are very few rare situations, right, where you're going to burn 3 buy-ins, and it's because you have just a very lucky lunatic at your table that's just shoving Jack 6 off pre, and you're calling him with kings, and he's getting there. In that situation, I mean, if it's not really tilting you, you understand that it's just like you're just unlucky. Then okay, in that rare situation, maybe you can stay, but in most situations, you burn 3 buy-ins, you're done. Okay, take the day off. And then just a rule I have for myself: don't play at all if I have homework due the next day and it's not done. Right. So I'm taking a few. I'm in college, so I'm taking a couple classes. So that's just a rule I have for myself: is if I have things that I need to get done, make sure those are done before I play. Right, because poker players, we know you just get sucked in, and then you're going to play for an hour, and then 8 hours later, you're like, oh shit, I didn't get anything done, and now I'm stuck. So that's something that we don't do. So day 1 was yesterday, Thursday, September 28th. Okay. And today was day 2, Friday, the 29th. So we have footage that I'm going to show you from yesterday and footage that I'll show you from today. I think it was 6 hours yesterday and 2 hours today, or 4 hours yesterday, 2 hours today. I'm not sure. I use a poker tracker app that you can put in your bankroll and upload in stakes you're playing, what you bought in for, at what time, and then it's pretty good. It gives you a little calculation of what you're making per hour, tells you how many positive sessions you had, how many negative sessions. So I think that's in the video too. You'll see a little, when I go back to the iPad home screen, you'll see the icon for it, so you guys can look it up in the App Store. There's 2 versions. There's like the Pro version, which allows you to do more stuff, and then there's just the regular version, which is fine. It's great, for anything that you may need. So I'm going to play this video. It's all of the relevant hands that were played, I think, and I'll give you commentary along the way. I haven't figured out how to pause it and continue talking yet on the iPad, so a lot of the hands playing through, and I'm trying to give you as much information as I can before the next hand starts, but sometimes it's a little bit lost. If you have any questions on a certain hand that I didn't cover enough of, just let me know and we can go over it. Alright, so without further ado, I'll just let you guys see the hands from yesterday and today. Alright. Okay, so day 1 we put the $20 in. This was yesterday, Thursday, the 28th. So $20 buy-in. We're going to play at the 2 cent, 5 cent, $5 max. So we buy in for the max, right? Always a good idea to buy in for the max. If you can't buy in for the max, you shouldn't play the level. You should be nowhere near the level if you can't buy in for the max. Okay, so C4, we're in the game, and we'll fast forward here, I think, to the first hand, which we have Ace-8 on the button. I'm just going to limp, I think. Just limp in for the 5 cents. This is the first hand that I play, and I haven't played in a while, so a little eager, I think, to start. 6x raise from this guy. I just should fold here, but I call anyway because I'm, like I said, eager to play. This guy calls, he leaves himself 85 cents behind, so that's something to keep in mind. Board comes out, we got a backdoor flush draw, and we could always rep, even if just one club comes in, we could rep the ace-high flush. This guy bets 85 cents, which is enough to put player 8 all in. I just call, assuming player 8's going to fold, and I wanted to float 1, but player 8 calls, so now there's no side pot, and player 1 now, with the next club that comes out, is going to bet, and now he's building a side pot, which I wouldn't mind taking down, so I'm going to put in a little bluff here with the ace-high club, rep the flush, and if I get called, it's not the worst thing, because, a club could still come in, or a king for the straight. Unfortunately, he had a king-high flush, and we just lose this first hand for pretty much a whole buy-in. Kind of sucks, right? So patience was not on the table for me there the first hand. I just wanted to play. Lucky for us, we pick up aces under the gun. We're gonna 4x. I pretty much 4x everything. That's my standard raising size. So we 4x with the aces under the gun. We get called by player 1. Now, showing those bluffs when we first sat down can help you if you're planning on playing tight, right? Because now a lot of these players are not going to take me seriously. Like small blind here is going to re-raise to 45 cents. So we'll bump it up now. We'll bump it to $1. This is kind of weird. If the button had any kind of good hand, I would think that he would raise, right? But he immediately flats the $1, and the small blind flats the $1 too. So kind of strange from player 1. I guess he just wants to play his position. Player 2, this kind of hits his range, like ace queens, queen kings, pocket kings, obviously pocket queens. We're just going to flat and hope that 1 comes along. If he's got a flush draw or something. So he raises. Just really weird. So we'll just get it all in here. I don't know what's going on. I don't see a lot of 2-pair combinations, except for queen 8 offsuit, of course. That's always something you're going to be wanting to keep in your range. Just kidding. 7-4 suited. Lucky for us on the aces hand there, the board paired, and so we took it down, but we were behind. Early position with suited connectors, I like to raise, represent strength, and then you could bluff at the higher runouts. And if you have a lower runout like this, you can just bet with equity, you know. So pocket aces again, pretty good start for us, I would think. We're gonna raise it to 80 cents. This is a new table, I believe. We had a connection error at the last one. We had to come in here. So he 5x's it. We raise to 80. Big blind comes along. He comes along. This is a pretty draw-heavy board. Jack, queen, queen, ace, hearts, obviously kings if he's got ace, king, which is kind of unlikely since we have 2 aces, but king, queen here. I bet more than half pie here because there's a lot of hands that are going to continue that can raise and call pre-flop. So that's what happens here. He had king, queen, so he gets it in with me. And it's a clean run out, and we win with the pocket aces. Great. So this, I believe, pre-flop was raised to 25 cents or something. I didn't get it, but we flop top pair in position. He bets, we call. Slows down here. So I'm thinking maybe he's got ace king, or maybe he's got a spade draw. He could have 10 king. We put in a little value bet here, which he calls, and flush gets there. This guy had bluffed earlier, like for pot, complete air. I think he had ace high, and that was in my mind here, and I think I was just being a little stubborn. I should have folded, but I just wanted to look him up here. He had 9-10 for the straight. He flopped an open-ender. So 8-9, early position. There was a raise under the gun. These guys raise really light. I kind of had to adjust. So I like to raise up my suited connectors, lower cards, when I'm out of position. So right now, with a built pot like that, he doesn't have a lot behind. I like to put a really small bet in, right? Because if he has something like ace queen, he's going to shove. If he has ace king, he's going to shove. Just it shows weakness, and I'm pretty much just going to get it in with his whole range there with a small bet, where if I bet like 60, I might blow him off his hand. If I check, he checks back. It's just, I think this small bet there is really good. So here I float in position, which is pretty much what I always do. If I'm in position, I won't raise too much, as long as it's been raised somewhere. Unless, obviously, there's like 6 people and I can squeeze with a good hand. But if there's 6 people and I have a hand like this, I'll probably still just call. So I float on my call here. I got 2 overs. Not a lot of 10s in his pre-flop raising range, I don't think. And so he bets 50. So we're just going to raise it up here. And I mean, if he has an overpair, we're going to hear about it right now. If he has a 10, we'll probably hear about it. Jack comes, flush draw misses, and he checks to us. So we could put him on like ace 10. I think pocket 9s or 8s are pretty reasonable. We go for thin value here. We bet $1, and he just folds. So I'm thinking probably 8s or 9s. Maybe he had a flush draw. Yeah. So next hand that we have, we are going to flat Jack 8 in position, offsuit. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's suited. Jack 8 of clubs. So like I said, a lot of floats. My range is pretty wide in position, and it's even gotten wider here at this 2 cent, 5 cent, because these guys are just really calling stations, and they bluff a lot, and they don't make a lot of sense. So it's easy to pick things off. So I float here with the Jack 8 of clubs. Alright, flop comes out. We have 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw. Pre-flop raiser makes it 18 cents, half pot. Okay, you get a fold there. We're going to float him here. We do have equity. We have, now we pick up even more equity. We have 2 overs and we have a gut shot. He's going to continue with his story here, I guess, of an overpair is what he's trying to rep. And we'll put in a little raise here because we really don't mind getting called. If he puts in another raise, we'll have something to think about. But even if we get called here, we have plenty of cards that can help us. So a bluff with equity here. And if he does have ace-king or something, he's just going to have to let it go. Stuff that, he's actually ahead of us. Yep, he lets it go. We take it down. All right, pocket tens. This guy, number 4's been pretty crazy, pretty aggressive. So we'll flat his raise here. He could easily have ace-jack offsuit there. Like, this guy is just going kind of nuts. So we flop a set. We're going to check to him, keep all of his bluffs in. If he does have an overpair, obviously that's a scary board for him, and he's going to want to bet off draws, which is what he does. He bets almost pot. We want the other guy to come along too, right? So we're going to pretend that we're thinking about it for a while, and then we'll just flat, hoping that player 1 can come along too and build this pot for us, but he doesn't. Flush draw comes in. I like to put in really small bets here. It just confuses opponents. If he had something like ace-king that he was just going to be continuing bluffs with and maybe would now check back, just calling here really exposes his weakness. So this gets a lot of hands to just shove or put in a huge raise because you're just showing weakness. Like, maybe I have king-queen or a flush draw and I'm trying to get a cheap river. He did have kings, so he shoves and we win with a full house. But against ace-king and other drawing hands and things like that, you put in a 25-cent bet there, like a fifth of a pot, and they're gonna pretty much have to, with their whole range, put a substantial raise in and just commit more chips. Whereas if you check there hoping they're gonna bet, a lot of times they'll check back with their draws or their ace-kings or stuff. So you show a little bit of weakness and open the door for their bluffs. So that's what I did there. This hand is what's going on here. So we got top pair. This guy raised. Seems pretty standard. He bet, and then I raised him on the flop, and he just flatted. Now he's betting super small here, so it's just kind of weird. I think I just call. I have showdown value. Now I have a straight draw to go with it. The board pairs. Flush draw doesn't get there. So if he did have a flush draw, he misses, right? But it's like a value bet. I don't know. It's weird. I just call, and he had king 8 of diamonds. And that was, I pre-flop raised 4x, and he called there. So little weird. No one raised pre here, so we're going to just bump it up. Typically I'll do 4x, but I'll add 1x per player that limped, right? So normally I'd 4x, but 2 players limped, so I 6x'd. Okay, so we're going to miss the flop here. We got ace high. I think it checks to us, and if it does, we'll put a little value bet, C bet in here, value bet bluff. Not a lot can continue on this board, really. I mean, obviously queen's going to continue, 7 will probably continue, and flush draws. But out of position, just not a whole lot's going to be continuing on this board, and you'll take it down a lot. I mean, we are 5 ways, so likelihood that someone has a better hand is pretty high. So this is an awkward spot because I get raised, but it's just such a small raise. 50 cents for $3.63. That's like, what is that, 7.2 to 1 or something like that. So I just call here. It's just an awkward spot. I'm in position. An offsuit king or ace could come and potentially give me the best hand. If an ace or king comes, it's a spade. That's going to kind of suck. But for the value I'm getting, I just have to call, I think. So that's what I do. I call. Spade comes in. And the reason I included this hand is because I want you guys to see what their hands were that they were doing this with. So this guy just shoves. The other guy calls. So flush draw gets there. There's a queen on board. So obviously, like, I just can't do anything here, right? Look at their hands. Pocket tens and 6-4. Insane. Just crazy. Like, the level of play at these levels it just sucks. And this is another example, too. So it's like you really have to change your style up. I mean, if you're used to playing at a higher level or with better players, it's just people do such weird things at this level. Okay, so we're gonna call pre in position with suited connectors here, 5-7 of hearts. We flop a flush draw. This guy bets 13 cents into the pot. Um, he gets min raised, so okay, we'll just call, right? Don't want to get blown off the hand. He calls, queen comes. He's got less than $1 left. The other guy's got 6.28. Okay, he bets 12 cents. Just so weird. Like maybe he's on a flush draw, but people do this with like just everything in this game. It's kind of annoying. So he almost gets min raised again. 3x he gets raised. So we just still continue to float. And a heart comes. It pairs the board. So we made our flush, but it's a little dicey. This guy shoves. We're probably gonna just call here. That's the plan. But then player one raises. So if someone's raising here, I mean, like you're just going to call with your showdown, right? You would think. So I have to just fold because I'm really not beating anything that can over raise there. But look at his hands. King 10 he had, and the other guy had King 6 off. Pretty frustrating. I just included those hands, I guess, to justify further calls in the future that I make really light, just so you guys see the level of craziness that we're dealing with at these levels. What's going on? I float the flush, the backdoor flush draw, nothing, check, check. So like everything kind of misses here. If you have showdown value, you just check this. I mean, the only things that are going to bet are sets and like two pairs, which just, there's really no two pair combinations that I can see him calling, but you know, we are at this level. So King 4, so I heroed and I was wrong. So, but I believe this is the very next hand, or no, this isn't the next hand. Is this the same hand? Oh, okay, so this is a duplicate of the last one. I don't know how that happened. 2 came in. So you could watch this again and see what I'm talking about. So he checks the flop, and then I put the bet in. He calls and checks back. So it's pretty safe to say he's like on a flush draw, or, you know, and then what kind of flush draws end up with a hand that they can actually bet for value on the end? Not a lot, right? So it just didn't make sense to me. So I called it off with the ace high, and he had King 4. It's just weird. And he called the 4x raise, I think, with that pre. Anyway, so this is the very next hand. We have pocket 5s in position. Well, not on the button, but in position on our player 2 guy over here. Mr. Any two cards in the deck, player number 2, any 2. So pretty clean flop, I would say, for pocket 5s. It's pretty under-repped. You could put in a bet here pretty safely. If you get called, I mean, pretty much, I think on this one I put in 75% of pot bet in position, and at that point, if you get called, you can really put someone on a king or 6, right? Or I guess maybe they'll call flush draw, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they're really getting a bad price. So a lot of the times this just takes it down, but I get called by Mr. Any2, and I go into check call mode, right? So he checks, I'll check. I'm just trying to get the showdown at this point. And what does he do here? I forget. Something weird. He does something weird. Okay, he just polarizes himself. So 45 cents here. So I think he just misses a flush draw, which is the case. So that's my point. The previous hand was something very similar to that. Like, everything misses. You really don't have a lot that you're going to be value betting there. I mean, obviously a 6. If he had a 6, he'll value bet. But if he's value betting, he's not putting in 45 cents, right? He's going to bet like 20 cents. So it just didn't make sense. So I make the call, and we were right. Here we have pocket 9s on the big blind. Late position raise, so we re-raise. This guy 6 has just been in previous. Obviously, I'm not showing you all the hands. He's just been doing this to me a lot. Like, he'll just be 3-betting me like all the time. It's really annoying. 3-bet, 4-bets, just like he just wants to play big pots with me. But in this position, I mean, I'm like whatever. I can't really do much. If he has an overpair, I'm just screwed. So I let it go, whatever. But he has been starting to really annoy me. This is literally the next hand, right? So little suited gapper, early position from the small blind. If I choose to play this hand, then I typically will raise it, like I talked about earlier, represent the strength. And then if it's a lower run out, then, you know, people don't really put you on those cards. If it's a bigger run out, then you can bluff at a lot of stuff. So we do put in a raise here. We get raised on the button, and we bump it up 50 cents. So this guy just has my number, right? He just wants to keep doing this to me. So there he goes, 170. And I'm kind of just pissed off at this point. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to play a pot with this guy. I really want to see what he's doing this with. And we get extremely lucky, and we flop 2 pair. So we'll just check here. Obviously, if he's bluffing, he's going to continue bluffing. And if he's not bluffing, he has an overpair, which is great for us because we're probably going to get all of his money, right? So there's no reason to raise here. He bets, we just call. If he's bluffing, he'll continue. If he has an overpair, he'll continue. So it really doesn't matter. He goes all in, we call. He had aces. So maybe we give him credit for the other times. I don't know. We got pretty lucky against him there on the flop. But we do take it down, and he doesn't raise me anymore, I don't think, after that. So, I mean, pretty screwed up situation for him, honestly. You know, if he was sincerely betting with good hands pre-flop, like 3 bets and 4 bets on me earlier, then that's just pretty unlucky. But I thought he was making moves, and he got unlucky. So here we have Jack Queen on the button. So if there's a raise, you know, like if someone 3x's or 4x's, then I'll most likely just flat here. It's a good hand to play on the button. If nobody raises, I'll probably 4x it. Okay, so someone 4x'd, so we'll just call here, play a pot with this guy. So we flop top pair. That's always cool. 45 cents in the pot. He's got, what, $1.90 behind? What you gonna do? Oh, this is any 2. This is Johnny any 2 cards over here. I think he's the one with the king 4 earlier and the 8 deuce. So you never know with this guy, but he bluffs too. So there he goes. He makes a pot-sized bet. At this level, that's really weak. Typically, like, people are not doing that for value to polarize or anything. So we call it. He checks. We put in a really small bet here to induce him to, you know, continue with his bluffs. And I think he's seen us do that before, maybe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he folds here, though. So we put the 15 cents in. Yep, and he just folds. So then we freeze out, and we had to join a new table. So here we are at a new table, and of course, the first hand at any new table, I just want to give away my stack. That's a joke, but it's just something that I always do for some reason. I decide that I'm just going to sell this guy on a flush. So I call the flop with the 2 spades, and then I'm going to raise him here when the flush draw comes in, represent the flush. So he'll just flat back, so I could pretty much put him on a jack here, I think, especially when he checks back here. So ace came, another scare card. I can still rep my flush. I'm going to put in a pretty decent sized value bet bluff here, 80 cents into 126, and he snaps. He has pocket queens. Couldn't let it go. So we got pocket deuces here on the button. Our balance is up to, I think, like 36 now. So we're just waiting for these guys that are multi-tabling their $5 games, I guess. My editing skills hopefully will improve as we continue with this series. This is my first video. So a lot of this dead space I'm sure I could be cutting out and being able to pause at certain moments and talk more in depth about hands, which I haven't figured out how to do yet, but I will try to. So this guy bets, what, 15 cents into 50? I should just fold here, I think. I mean, I've missed everything. I don't know why this hand is even in here. This doesn't seem very relevant. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay. I don't know why that was in there. How to fold pocket deuces on the button tutorial, I guess. Next hand, king queen. Maybe that's why it was in here. Okay, so someone just about 4x's gets a call. I'm in position. I will just flat here and play a pot in position. Back to small blind, big blind. Sorry for all this dead space on these videos, guys. Just gotta bear with me. Once I get my computer situation figured out with why I can't do it on my MacBook, then I'm sure these videos will get much better. Okay, so flop comes out. We have 2 overs. We got a backdoor trip draw. Always good, you know. Backdoor trip draw. Okay, so I think we're going to float this guy. I don't really remember. I'm pretty sure if this hand is in here, then obviously it's not going to just be a fold because it was decided to be a relevant hand, right? So, yep, we float this guy. He's going to continue with pretty much his whole range, I would think, on this board. So now on the turn, flush draw comes in. We still have 2 overs, and now we also have a gut shot, right? So a little more equity here. See what this guy does. So he checks. We're going to put in a value bet bluff. Okay, if we get called, it's not the worst thing because, as I said, we have 2 overs and also a gut shot, right? And we could also rep the flush draw if it comes in because this is the point we decided to start showing strength was when the flush draw came. So we could easily have like ace-6 of diamonds or ace-8 of diamonds. But he just folds. We take it down. So floating with equity. Okay, ace-king. Okay, so this guy just open shoved. We call. He had pocket 6s. And we just win. Pocket queens in position. Like I said, I normally 4x, but if there's 1 limper, then I'll 5x. 2 limpers, I'll 6x. So there's 1 limper, so we 5x here. And I pretty much do this with my whole range of cards that I decide I want to play with. Now, if he had raised, let's say, to 15 cents, I might consider a flat just so I don't give up my, so I don't play so face up, you know. More so at a bigger level, I would keep that. Maybe here I would just raise because these guys just kind of raise with everything. And not a lot of people are, I don't think, reading. So I don't know. It's something that I'll probably adjust to this level as I play it. I'm going to be playing for a while at this level because, like I talked about earlier, we won't be moving up until we get to, I think, 30 buy-ins at the next level, which will be $300. So I'll be here for a while, so I'll start to adjust, I'm sure. Anyway, we get some calls. Pot's 75 cents. This guy leads for 20 cents. So obviously we're calling here. But then we get a raise. Kind of weird. I guess ace-9 raises here. These guys do have a very wide range. So reading their hand strength is kind of difficult. Ace comes. So I'm thinking if he has like... Well, I mean, now we have a backdoor flush draw. Okay, yep, and the flush comes in for us. So here we're going to bet really small just because his 2 pairs got counterfeited. If he had a weird 2 pair like 9-5 or something, he's going to want to bluff at it if you open up the door for him. So I like to open up the door on the river for bluffs. A lot of hands just are not going to call there. And it's also a board that a lot of people like to bluff with the 4 hearts if you show weakness. So I kind of wanted to induce a bluff there. But if I get called, whatever, I get a little additional value for my hand, right? Get another 25 cents, so that's okay. So, suited connector, we raise, and someone ships. Obviously, we're not calling. By the way, that guy showed Jack-8 offsuit, the guy who shipped, player 9. So that was kind of annoying. People just don't make sense at this level. So, yeah, he 4-bet shoved with Jack-8 off. So just weird. Alright, so we're going to call here pre with ace-8 suited in early position. We flop middle pair, and we will call on this board. See a turn card. Um, Diamond comes, not a great card, three-handed with, a pre-flop, a flop bet and two calls, a lot of flushes in people's ranges. Obviously, we're losing to a king. We don't pick up too much extra equity. I should be folding here, but obviously if this is on here, I think I called, so I don't know really what my train of thought was during this hand. I think I should probably start writing some stuff down as I'm thinking it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking that if he's betting his king on the flop, then the diamond would have scared him and he would have slowed down, so it didn't make sense to me. But he did. He had a king, so he was just playing face up, and we just gave him an extra 75 cents because we're donks. All right, so pocket fives. Remember, player nine bluffs a lot, and he's kind of like, he likes to play level games, right? So, I mean, you'll see. This is the guy that went all in Jack 8 pre, right? Player 9. So he raises pre-flop 4x early position, so I just call. We flop a set. I'm going to check it to him. Keeps all of his bluffs in. If he did happen to have like a queen in his hand, he's going to most definitely be betting like almost pot here. But his bluffs too. I mean, this guy just bets. He just bets everything. So we'll just keep him interested. He puts 25 cents in. So typically I would just call here, but I do think that if 7 had a queen, he would have led. That's just how he's been playing. So I don't think he's coming along at all. Obviously, it's very unlikely he has a 5, so I decided just to put in a min raise, okay, because I'm not worried about 7. And I know that 9 is kind of prideful, so he'll be like, oh, I'm going to come back, and it's pretty much exactly what he does. So if he is bluffing, he just levels like this. So I decided just to call to show like maybe I was leveling back and I didn't want to give up, so I just call. I'm going to put in a really small bet here, and we'll just do this leveling thing again, right? But his stack is starting to dwindle, so he levels back, he goes to 50 cents. I'm going to level and really leave him with no option other than shove. I've shown weakness, like I'm trying to steal the hand, and he likes to bluff. So I just kind of play to that. He does indeed. He has 6-7 off, and we just take it down. I think we're getting close to the end of the session here. Pocket sixes. Okay, so that's great. Yep. So we flop open ender and an overpair. We 4x'd pre. We're just going to continue with almost pot. A lot of people will float, but I mean, he is out of position, so he'll probably fold. Yeah, he does. Not sure why this was on the clip. That was pretty irrelevant. Okay, this is why it was on the clip. Right after we get pocket queens, we're going to 4x under the gun. Like I said, 4x is just pretty much our standard. Yeah, so hopefully this is a relevant pot. Okay, small blind calls. Big blind does not. We flop a set. Small blind called me super light earlier. I don't know if it was in here or not, but he's just been calling me really light. So he leads. I put in a little raise here. He just is not a believer ever. But the heart gets there. Kind of concerning to me. I don't know. He bets 50 cents. I put in a little raise to see where I'm at. If he comes over the top, I'm just going to call and hope for the board pair, right? But he doesn't. So maybe he has a baby flush. Maybe he just has like ace 10 or ace queen. So I just check back because betting there on the end really, I mean, I don't think he's going to call with much. Like if I put in a value bet, like the ace 10 is probably just going to fold. If I am getting called, I'm probably beat. And I also open the door for like if he had a king of hearts, right? He could just shove and bluff if he has the nut blocker, and then I'm just in a weird spot. So on stuff like that on the river, I elect normally just to check it and take it down when there's a situation where like I really am not getting called by anything that I'm beating, I don't think. So that's that. We enter this into the Poker Tracker app, and the bankroll's at 41.62 now, I believe, on day 2. So, pretty good start. We put in either 6 or 8 hours. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. But we've a little more than doubled the bankroll, and that's that. Okay, guys. So that was the first few days of this series. if you have any questions or anything, just shoot me a message and we could go over hands if I didn't do a in-depth enough analysis. I'm going to try to get my MacBook up and running so I could start editing on that instead of the iPad and be able to kind of do some cooler stuff for these videos. But as of now, we're just going to be tracking the bankroll and talking about some hands, right? So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I'll post up the next jump. Maybe I'll wait until I haven't decided how I want to do it yet. If we're going to do like every 8 hours I'll make a video, or every $20 or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. But once I have like too much footage, obviously I'm going to want to make a video so we don't have super long ones. And that's it. All right.